Alrighty guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at Legion and why Legion is the 17th worst killer in Dead by Daylight, also known as the worst killer in Dead by Daylight. Now, it's going to be really hard for me to explain to you why this killer isn't garbage, because it's not really a great killer, but that's okay. So you may have noticed recently Legion did get a rework. If you press F1, it'll show you she or he now moves at 115% movement speed with a 32 meter heartbeat, as opposed to a 24 meter heartbeat at 110, which is 4.4 movement speed. Alright, so a couple of things have changed. Their average heights, so they're very short, and they can make some really good mind games and plays. Now, strategies against Legion is you need to sidestep when Legion hits somebody with his ability. Now, if you don't know what his ability does, Feral Frenzy allows him to run really fast. I believe he runs at approximately 130% movement speed. And then when he hits somebody, he basically pulsates with rage, and he can see all other teammates within 32 meters around him, and he can run towards them. Hitting somebody with his special ability afflicts borrowed time status. So that's essentially hitting somebody and then hitting somebody again. It might sound amazing, but at the same time, here's why it's garbage. If you hit somebody with Feral Frenzy and you hit them again, or you miss, even if you missed and you didn't hit them, your ability goes on cooldown. When your ability is on cooldown, you pretty much can't walk, you can't look, your whole screen goes dark, and you can't see anything for 4 seconds. 4 seconds. That is far too long for this killer. This killer is already one of the weakest in the game and a borderline useless ability. Now, how can we take advantage of this? People know Legion's really weak. What do we want? We need everyone to stay hurt on the entire board. If people aren't hurt and people are healing, that's going to make me weaker. Much like the Plague. You want people to be sick as the Plague so you can one-hit down them. If they cleanse, she becomes super powerful and strong. People heal against Legion. Legion's still just Legion. She still doesn't perform very well. Alright, so if we're going to be looking at stopping people from healing or slowing down the game in our favor, there are 3 really powerhouse perks that come to mind to stop all this, right? Remember, I don't want people to heal. This first perk I'm going to show you, I do not want or I do not recommend. But I'm still going to show you because under the right circumstance, I'd say that's a good idea. You see 2, you see 3 medkits. Now it comes into play. Sloppy Butcher, also countered by the new Locker perk, Inner Strength, which comes in with Nancy. Really annoying perk. Very powerful. We're going to be looking here now too. We got Thanophobia, followed by another one called Dying Light. Now, if you're unaware, Dying Light did recently just get a rework, okay? This allows your obsession to heal and unhook other people 33% quicker. Sloppy Butcher is a 25% penalty. On top of that, we get 4% per hurt person. So realistically, I'm going to need 25. That's 4 or another. I'm going to need to hurt 2 people for this guy to not get a benefit when it comes to healing somebody else. So that'll be a 33% penalty to healing because of Sloppy Butcher if he was healing an injured person, which is the only kind of person you can heal. Now, why am I looking at these 3 perks, alright? Like I said, you don't want people to heal against Legion, right? This is 4% per hurt target. 4% isn't a lot, if I'm going to tell you the truth. 4%, 16. Okay, so we're going to say we've got 1 stack of this too. So that's 20%. If I have everybody hurt and 1 stack of Dying Light, that's going to be 16 additional seconds for a generator to be completed. 16. It sounds like a lot of time. You're right. But that's relying on me having everyone hurt and having them not heal. If I hurt somebody and they heal as Legion, by default, it takes 32 seconds to self-care. If I have Sloppy Butcher, that 32 seconds now becomes 40 seconds. Right? That's 40 seconds. 40 seconds equals half a generator. Generator's done in 80 seconds. So that's me stalling half a generator, forcing somebody to go heal themselves in a corner of the map. That is not including mending. If I hit you with my ability and then rotate, you have to mend for about 10 seconds. Now you're healing for 50 seconds. Now you've done nothing for near 1 minute of that time. And that's not including Dying Light stacks. Now, why is Dying Light on this build? Okay, Dying Light, basically, when you down somebody and hook them for as long as your obsession is live, everybody gets a 3% penalty. Wow, Goose, 3%. That's the equivalent of diddly squat. You're correct, it's nothing. But it stacks with Thanophobia, alright? So keep in mind, you can get a total of 3 stacks off Jeff, 3 stacks off David, 3 stacks off Kate. There you go, that's 9 stacks. But if we're reading here, if the obsession is alive, all people who are not the obsession get the penalty. So the Obsession doesn't get this penalty. He will there get the Thanaphobia penalty on everything. So this being said, when you kill the Obsession, when the Obsession rage quits, when the Obsession dies, you lose this perk. You want to keep him in the game for as long as possible. This also being said, your Obsession gains 33%, etc. each time you hook a survivor other than your Obsession. So hooking your Obsession doesn't do anything. But you want to know something? He's going to know you have Dying Light at the start of the game. So if you down him in 10 seconds, you pick his ass up and you chuck him on the hook, that's going to bring somebody else in. That means there's only 2 people that could possibly be working on objectives. Alright, there are a couple of things to point out. Because Legion is yet again one of the weakest killers in the game, I highly, highly recommend Ruin on him. Ruin is a luck-based perk, but at the same time, you don't have a choice. When you're playing as somebody this weak, you kind of need all the help you can get. You kind of need all the good RNG. This perk here can be integrated and swapped out. Keep in mind, some people might heal against Thanaphobia and Dying Light. If I take that off, it's still going to take you 32 seconds to self-care. If you have a med kit, it's going to take you, 24 seconds. This is not including the penalty that we're going to have from Thanaphobia. 32 seconds is still a pretty long time. 40 would be cute. Getting it up to 50 with the mending, it's nice. I personally think this spot needs to be filled with a couple of things, because now I have a pretty strong build. I've got Regression, I've got Stall, I'm missing out on Pop Goes the Weasel. Pop Goes the Weasel is a pretty big perk. Alternative build I could have been running, I could have had Ruin, I could have had Pop, I could have had Tremor, I could have had Surge. That's an alternative build that you could run, which would also be pretty freaking powerful. Discordance would be a nice filler in the bottom, because chances are you're going to be running towards a hurt person. You come over there, and then you just M1 somebody, you can see the other one. If everybody's hurt, you don't even need to use your ability. You can use your ability as a gap closer. You can use your ability to go for a body block. Reminder, Legion can vault pallets and windows while he's used his power up. Doesn't break the pallet, but you can still make a couple of cute plays. If, he's thrown a pallet in a shit area and he can't make a loop, vault the pallet, cancel your ability, and then he might try and sidestep past you, and you can still body block him like that, then M1 down him. Save the Best for Last is a god tier perk on Legion, because the amount of times you hit people with your ability, you can get one stack, and then one stack. You just got 3 stacks straight away because people were stacked. You can even get 4, you can even get 5. You can make it really powerful. Would I recommend Save the Best for Last with this? No, because you're going off base. You want everyone to be hurt for as long as possible. You're not going to be able to get the value for hitting somebody, recovering, run up behind them and hit them again. You're not getting good value for that. Pop would be very, very good for my final spot, but at the same time, now I have no information, I have no stall, I have no situational awareness, and I have no rotation. I don't know where survivors are. I have to go off my gut and understanding pathing. So Thrilling Tremor or Pop is also a good choice. No, not Pop, sorry. Thrilling Tremor or Barbecue in Chile. I personally, if I had to choose between Thrilling Tremor and Barbecue, looking at the build I currently have... not Barbecue, sorry. If I had to choose between Thrilling Tremor and Barbecue... What am I saying? I personally would take... It's a hard choice because they're both really decent. They're both good perks. On Legion, though, I kind of want the game to stop. And because I don't have Pop Goes the Weasel in my build, I'm leaning towards Thrilling Tremor. Now, I normally recommend, if you run Thrilling Tremor, generally Devour Hope, Haunted Ground, Thrilling Tremor, Pop. Disgustingly powerful build on snowballs or powerhouses such as the Nurse, the Spirit, even the freaking Clown. It could be devastating build. It could be devastating on the Wraith as well. But when it comes to using Barbecue generally is something you entwine with Ruin, maybe Make Your Choice, It just gives you that rotation and pathing. So I'm going to put on Thrilling Tremor for my 4th spot. So now the only stall I have is based off this. If I lose Ruin early, I'm probably going to be in a bit of trouble if I can't get everyone hurt. Remember, everyone hurt is equal to 16%. Like I said before, 16%, let's just take 10%. 10% is 80, and then half of that is 4, that's, not 88, so that's 8, that's 12. That's 12 additional seconds for a generator. That's 92 seconds, as opposed to 80 seconds to do one generator. That's providing I haven't even hooked anybody. It then stacks from Dying Light. Dying Light does nothing at the beginning of the game, but as the game goes on, it becomes a real pain in the ass with Thanaphobia. You could trade out Dying Light if you saw they had multiple toolboxes for Pop Goes the Weasel to put you in a better spot. I don't recommend things like Make Your Choice, as they're no longer applied with your ability hit, much like it just puts you in a really sticky and a really bad situation. There are a couple of alternatives. You can go Spirit Fury and Enduring Legion and M1 somebody as they go through a pallet, and if they pallet stun you and you break the pallet automatically and recover, you've just hit them with not borrowed time status effect, and now you can just walk up behind them and M1 them and down them straight away. Allows you to catch really quick. but it's on a set kind of playstyle. If I knew I was going to a map like the game, I'd consider that because there's a lot of pallets on the game. If I knew I was going to something like Lyri's Institute, I would prefer a build that I'm leaning to right now. There's a lot of really good totem spawns to Lyri's Institute. I can get good pressure. I can cut off and get good rotations as well. This would be a much stronger build. Remember, Discordance is a high tier one at the end too. You could go Infectious Fright at the same time. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you did down somebody with Infectious Fright on an M1, chances are the other guy has Iron Will and he's unbroken and he's mending, or he's, one hit down. You could just rotate over, keep 2 people in chase, force another person to come over. But that kind of playstyle can come in through almost any killer in Dead by Daylight. That's excelling in certain fields, not using your ability to your fullest potential. Running Thanophobia and Sloppy Butcher would be using your ability to your fullest potential. You could get rid of Dying Light for Sloppy Butcher to make sure everyone has Thanophobia on them the entire game. Therefore, you'll still have Thrilling Tremor and Ruin, and you can M1 people down with your mind game plays. It is a possibility. I would consider it. I just like trying to utilize Dying Light. It's decent. Keep in mind, having that penalty is 3% per hook. So that's 3 hooks, that's 10%, that's 8 seconds from a generator. And if you play your cards right, you can really pound the stacks up. If you play poorly and you can't get hooks as Legion, that is not the perk for you. Legion is already very hard and devastating to play. They removed all his add-ons that increase his movement speed while in Feral Frenzy. So it just puts him in a really, really sticky situation. He lacklusters, or she lacklusters, a lot of kill potentials. Anything that can assist you in that category would help. If I were to take off Dying Light, I could also consider putting on Save the Best for Last, like I said before, because if they heal against Thanophobia, I get another stack of Save the Best for Last. But at the same time, you're kind of counterintuitive on your builds. You're better off with Sloppy Butcher over Save the Best for Last. You're better off without Make Your Choice because you don't want to rotate back to the hook. But anyways, guys, I guess that's going to be all. You could run them all ears, but I wouldn't recommend it. That's all for Legion, and that's why I put Legion in the 17th best place in Dead by Daylight. Therefore, in the current state that he/she is in, the worst killer in DBD without add-ons in the red ranks.